and then I learned more about it, and then I got to work with it. And then my jaw dropped. I don't like to use the word it's magic lightly, but it's magic.
Hi, I'm Mitch Gallagher from Sweetwater, and I am joined by special guests today. We have Jean Larrivée and Matt Larrivée. It's great to have you guys here.
Great to see you.
Yeah. We are now partners. We're carrying Larrivee guitars here at Sweetwater, which we're so excited about. And we were talking a little bit earlier, and what I want to focus on in this video is one of the key components, and that's the woods that go into making up these incredible instruments.
Right.
Because that's kind of the heart of the whole thing, right?
The whole thing. That's really where the foundation of the guitar is.
Yeah.
Wood is no wood, no guitar. You
Right.
know, that's the big thing. And to get the kind of wood that you need for what I do or we do, you have to go get it. The rosewood, for example, that we get today is by far the very best. Even the years and times that I went to India, I could never get what I'm getting right now.
Wow.
And yeah, it's like the man that I'm dealing with, okay, it's one guy. But he has a tremendous love for us, and the wood that we get, every time we get a shipment from him, it's like I shake my head and I say, how can that be?
It's better than the last time.
And also I would go to India, and spend a week in India with 110 degrees and humidity at whatever,
Right.
And
No, it's really a key point is wood shopping for guitar shopping when you do what we do, it's not glamorous.
No.
It's through 2 feet of mud in the middle of the jungle during monsoon season. You're drenched to your core, and it's dirty, and it's tough. But you do it because you get the best when you do that.
the good stuff sends to me.
Yeah, Indian rosewood particularly is that's the wood we, outside of some of the spruces that we deal with. Indian rosewood is really the backbone of the guitar.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of politics around Indian rosewood. The key thing to keep in mind with Indian rosewood is it's actually a pretty environmentally friendly wood. Despite being a rosewood, which many rosewoods are on the endangered list, Indian rosewood is very well managed. And most of what we use is being taken off of plantations. So in India, the government owns every rosewood tree out there, and you have to get special permission to cut it. And so what they're doing is instead of taking trees out of the forest, they're taking trees off of plantations. And somebody's property where they've gotten government permission, and they bring down one enormous tree that's been there for eons, and they're taking it down because they're developing the property, right? So we're having a minimal environmental impact without hitting the natural forest, and we get some just enormous, beautiful pieces of wood from that. We as guitar makers, we have to juggle environmental stewardship with the need for tropical hardwoods for a guitar. It's well documented where it came from. If it's questionable at all, we refuse it instantly. We pride ourselves on our absolutely clean record. That we've never had government seizures of wood. We've never had people show up and take wood away. It's we really work hard to make sure that the wood we have is harvested responsibly from legal areas, from good sources, and from people that we're comfortable doing business with. Sitka spruce, for over it's got to be 300 years has been one of the staples of the guitar industry, is starting to talk about not allowing old growth forest to be cut at all, which could be devastating to the guitar industry. And instead of fighting it, we get behind it, right? If that's going to help protect the trees and help us be good stewards of the environment, we're not going to be there arguing before Congress to say, or the British Columbian government to say, no, don't do that. We're going to be okay. Well, how can we support this? What other wood can we use, right?
Right. For example, we could use, and we do use mahogany top.
Or European spruce.
Or European spruce. Yeah. And, I got my hands in that early in life. That's why we have 4 suppliers. You can buy a little bit here, a little bit there, and they know me, and they'll call me up and they'll say,
I got a log.
I got a log. No, it's true.
Yeah, right.
You know, for example,
I'll be there Monday.
it took us almost a year to get 4, or more than a year to get 4 cubic meter of brace stock. Perfect brace stock.
Yeah.
But we got it.
Right.
I think the most important one of the last several years, and the one which we're really excited about, is a wood called Moonwood.
I want to know all about that because I've seen that
Well, it's right
term.
there.
So
you know.
yeah, this guitar has a Moonwood top. So Moonwood is it's a fascinating thing. When I hadn't heard about it, I'd heard loosely on and off since the '90s about it, but it always seemed one of those things of legend, like, oh, it's it's harvested on the north side of the mountain during a moon by virgins, and like just a bunch of mumbo jumbo. And then I learned more about it, and then I got to work with it, and then my jaw dropped. So because I don't like to use the word it's magic lightly, but it's magic.
Wow.
It's really special stuff. And so what it is it's Moonwood is it's a forestry practice, but when people talk about Moonwood, they're referring to Moonwood spruce generally. And what it is it's a small region, probably 100 square miles?
Yeah.
Maybe even less than that.
Even less than that.
And it's right on the border
High altitude.
of Austria, Switzerland, Germany, Italy, and France.
Yeah, mostly it's Austria, Switzerland.
Basically, the first thing I learned about it that was interesting is that it is the exact same forest and the exact same forestry practice that was used by Stradivarius. So it's the Stradivarius forest, right?
Wow.
Yeah.
And that intrigued me. I said, okay, well, I'm interested. I'm listening, and then I learned more about it, and and what it is it's basically they cut in late summer on the waning moon. They cut these spruce trees down, and they're right up at alpine. Right, when you look at a mountain, there's nothing, and then the trees start and come down. It's right at that tree line.
Yeah.
And the trees grow really, really slowly. Because it's very cold up there and there's very little rain, so they grow slowly and evenly. And they only get to be, maybe this big in size, whereas Sitka can be, 2 arm spans apart.
Right.
So it grows up there. They cut it down during this waning moon in late summer, and it's left all throughout the winter, all through the next spring, through to the next summer. And it's left upside down with its bark and branches attached. And what this does is this causes the sap in the wood to slowly draw down into the branches. And then after 9 months, the branches and the bark is cut off and it's hauled out. And what this does is it creates a really stable wood that does not warp. It's dense, it's tight-grained. And what this does is it allows us to make really high-quality guitar parts that are stable and expand and contract really gently. It is an ideal brace wood because it's great for the braces, for the length and the width. It really allows the top to just increase and decrease lightly.
Yeah. The only problem is availability.
Yeah. Both John and me we're kind of opposed to kiln drying, with the exception of guitar necks. We like air-dried wood. It's more stable. It bends better for sides, and it really gives a guitar part that moves naturally. When you kiln dry it, you're baking the sap.
You're baking it in.
You're baking, and it becomes crystallized, and that's not a good thing.
No.
With certain woods that are already partially dried, particularly guitar tops, and this is a really important thing, we stack them with sticks across them, and we put them out in the direction of the wind, so the wind crosses. We drive them right out back of the shop. If you drive by Larrivee, you'll often see pallets of wood out back. But
Several pallets.
Yeah, the wind just blows through the pallet and pulls the moisture out of the wood with the weight of the pallet holding it steady. But what it does is it prevents it from cracking later on. Mm-hmm. And so since we've been using this method of using natural air, the Santa Ana winds to dry guitar tops, I don't think in the last 7 or 8 years, I don't think we've had a single guitar come back for a top crack for repair.
we
Not a
haven't.
single one.
I'm curious, taking a step back, you mentioned the Moonwood, the way it hangs upside down, and it's left for basically a year. Do you still have to air dry that, or does it still have to be treated?
Of
So
course, yeah.
whenever, even if we get the wood and it's dry, we dry it for it's a tough term, season is more adequate, or acclimatize would be more appropriate.
We
So
have to
any
be
guitar,
sure.
any wood that shows up at our facility, even if it's bone dried, even if it's been kiln dried, it gets sticked and put out in the wind.
No matter what.
No matter what. Mahogany, rosewood, they all get dried in the Santa Ana winds. We're very meticulous about it. So, spruce, it dries in the shop first for a day or two just to get the bulk of the moisture off, and then out in the wind. And rosewood might sit in the shop for a week or 2 weeks first, and then it'll go out in the wind. Ebony never goes in the wind. So we've built over time our method, and that creates a stable
Yeah,
instrument.
it's a formula that we use, and we never deviate from it.
And some of it, honestly, this is a point that it's sort of the je ne sais quoi of it, is the luthier's intuition, right? And this is something that it's very important and can't really be overstated, the value of it. When you're a guitar maker, you know things, right? And you know it from experience, and you can't put your finger on it, but you have to trust it. And that's I look at this pallet of wood, nope, it's not ready yet. It needs another day.
You know it.
Yeah.
You know it.
Years of experience.
That's
you know
55 years or more since you built your first guitar, and all the things you've learned, all of you have learned in the company since then.
One of the things he's taught me is you have to trust your intuition.
And everything that you do is all solid woods in all the guitars?
All solid wood. So
solid.
the only laminate in our entire guitar is a very special laminate, and it's on what we call the tail block. So at the bottom of the guitar, where the sides join, you might have an end pin. And if somebody were to take the guitar and sit it down a little too quickly on a wood floor,
Mahogany would just split.
it would snap. So we choose to use a laminate in that case, and that's a very special birch laminate where the grain runs one way in one layer, runs another way in another layer, and produces a very strong block. But beyond that block, there is not a single laminate on any Larrivee guitar.
Not even the neck. The neck is one piece.
Yeah, all our necks are one piece.
And that one-piece neck and the solid woods on the back and sides and top, that's to maximize the resonance and the vibration?
Yeah. So you want, when you laminate a neck, you do a couple of things to it. You make the neck really rigid, which can be a good thing in some cases. If you're a bass player, a rigid neck is a really good thing. But with an acoustic, particularly coming from a classical background, if you've ever watched a musician perform with a guitar, they're using the neck. They're bending it, to create vibrato and other sound effects. And so if you make the neck too rigid, you lose something. So when it's one piece, it maintains a certain level of flexibility, which you control with the truss rod, but it allows you to really still get transference from the neck into the body in a really effective manner. And that's
You can bend the neck. That's the most important, right?
We think that's a really good thing, right? So we use it both from a standpoint of, well, it's easier, you have one piece, you just cut it out and you have your neck, but it's more about the guitar itself. It's better for a steel string.
Guys, what's so exciting is that you're taking such a proactive, positive approach to getting these incredible tone woods and finding new things and using what's available to the maximum possible. And just the care you're taking both in preserving that resource as well as the care you're taking with the craftsmanship of what you do with it is really inspiring. And we're so excited to have you here at Sweetwater and to be part of the family and to be bringing that incredible craftsmanship, those incredible resources to us.
Thank you.
So it's a real pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for sharing all your wisdom on all these incredible woods. And I'm going to go play that guitar, if you don't mind.
Please do.
Great to see you,
Pleasure
Matt.
to see you.
John, appreciate you guys coming in. It's good to see you.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us here at Sweetwater. I'm Mitch Gallagher.
This is an OM10.
This is an OM10. All right. All right, so this is a gorgeous OM10. I mean, the back on that is
Well,
just
So-
that's the rosewood we're
that is
talking
the
about.
thing- Stunningly
The thing
beautiful.
to pay attention here is note how vertical the grain is
Yeah,
on this wood.
it is incredibly straight.
There's no
No.
moving off sideways. This is perfectly quarter sawn.
And the same on the
Indian
sides
rosewood.
going all the way
can-
around.
No, you can take a look at any manufacturer. You'll never find anybody with this kind of rosewood.
Yeah,
Dead
Again,
straight.
it took me 20 years to find the right guy.
right.
Now he's
So
my
light
best
too.
friend.
It's, wow. And what kind of top? This is the moon.
This is the Moonwood top,
top.
with Moonwood bracing, and then the fingerboard, bridge, and head plate are ebony.
Okay.
And all of the tops, I go to Austria and I hand pick it.
One at a time. He'll have
One at a time.
He'll have a.
Guess I bought this one, right?
It's
well.
durable. Yeah.
Yeah.
That
The,
is absolutely beautiful. It's fascinating how tight the grain is.
So
But
on the top
that's
there.
European.
we work really
That's-
hard
yeah.
to pull that. We actually like grain that is mid grain. Many people like super tight. We go a little bit
don't.
wider.
Mm-hmm.
It's it creates more of an open sound.
Again, on acoustic guitar with Sitka tops, we like grain to be as much as a quarter of an inch wide.
Mm-hmm.
Eighth of an inch is about perfect, but
An
we'll
eighth
go
of
up,
an inch
up
is
to that.
perfect. 8 to 3/16 of an inch is the absolute perfect.
Okay.
And
But
it's
tight
also
grain-
a
yeah.
better environmental choice because when their grain is really tight, those are very old trees. When the grain is a little wider, they're younger trees.
Ah,
So
interesting.
you're not doing, you're not going after the oldest growth forest.
Right.
So, it has the benefit of sounding better and being more environmentally friendly.
And I have to call out the incredible inlay on the fingerboard and the headstock.
Yeah, we've been doing that since, 50 years.
Right, and that's your wife Wendy, your mom.
Yep.
Wendy
Yeah.
is heading
It
that
started
up.
off with some of the workers,
Uh-huh.
but the quality was nothing like this.
Yeah,
Right.
that is absolutely stunning.
And this is so what we do in the old days. They used to have to be cut with a miter saw and or a jeweler's saw, and then it was with dental burrs. And now we have we now can use CNC machines. So what we do is we hand draw the inlay, and we
Right.
digitize it, and it
Yeah.
allows us to create the pieces for the inlay. And then Wendy can go in and do the engraving and the scrimshaw
Yeah.
on
Wow.
each piece.
So here, this is bone. That's bone, and the pins are bone.
Okay.
Yep.
And there's inlays even on the bridge as well. The
Yeah.
bridge,
Yeah.
absolutely
And this is
stunning
not
guitar.
the most fancy one.
Yeah, this is the OM10.
Yeah.
This
Correct.
OM10. We make a 72
Uh-huh.
and other models.
A presentation model, and we only can make a dozen of them a year. They're just so labor intensive. They're abalone everywhere, but they're
Man.
still the same core guitar.
Right.
The guitar remains the same. That's-
Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
If I had money, I'd buy one.
You might know somebody who'd get you one.
I'll give you a deal.